Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Really thrilled and excited today to bring on a good friend of the program, Russ Colliau. We've known each other for, gosh, at least a decade, I think. And man, you've been doing a lot of really cool things in your world. I know you were in the KW world for a long time. I know you're in the EXP world now. I know you're living out there in Puerto Rico and doing some awesome things. Like, I just really envious of the lifestyle out there in Puerto Rico. And so, really excited to bring you to our Landvoice community today, Russ. And we're going to talk today about four foundational cornerstones. But before we do, I want you to spend 60, 90 seconds, just tell the world a little bit about who Russ is. I just kind of teased a few things to you, but give the world just a taste of who Russ is and what you're up to these days.
Awesome. Well, I am the husband of an amazing woman that has tolerated me for 26 years. That is not easy. I am the father of three amazing now adult children, all making their mark on the world, and all living a lot of the things I've taught and trained over the years, and living debt-free and building big lives. And am a coach and trainer and teacher. In fact, my personal mission statement used to be all about the kids. And back when everybody was done in May, I really spent some time thinking about, okay, who's next? Who's my next band of children?
Yep.
And so my current mission statement is to have every single real estate agent who enters my universe be financially, time, and location free within 5 years. I pulled it off within 3, and I'm loving every minute of that. And it's why we got in real estate. We wanted that freedom, flexibility, and wealth.
Yep.
And well, most people wind up choosing the freedom and flexibility, and the wealth is a little elusive. And so investing a little time, a little discipline on these cornerstones we're going to talk about today can get you there and get you there in that 5-year window.
Yeah, and Russ, to be honest, we should really spend another podcast or do another training sometime on the tax benefits of Puerto Rico and what you're doing out there. We'll save that for another day, but really
put it on the schedule. Let's go.
Let's go. In the meantime, today we're talking about something really fun. It's those four foundational, just kind of cornerstones is what we mentioned. Let's dive right into it and give the audience a little bit of a taste of what we want to talk about with these cornerstones.
Awesome. And just so you know, anytime that in my world I tell you there's 4, there's always going to be a bonus, and we'll dive into that as well.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to be able to lay out a business plan for you. And Sean and I were talking about that as a bonus today of what you literally the business plan to generate $1 million a year, the daily business plan, focusing on these check boxes and magic happens. But let's talk about these cornerstones, Sean. So the very first one, the primary, I've got a coaching client right now that's been with me for about 6, 7 weeks. And he was mentioning today how much this has changed his world. And he's a big time producer. And yet his production is accelerating. His pipeline is more than doubled because he's been working on building a calendar and following a schedule. That calendar schedule is cornerstone number 1, and having one that really shows up to get you to your goals. That if you shared with me this week's calendar, sent me a screenshot, I know that you are committed to building a big life because your calendar would tell me so.
I love that. We talk a lot about how many of us do it and are loyal to our schedule and our calendar, right?
Yeah, well, and the thing is, we know if we distill everything down to simple models and simple systems, what I lovingly call, because of all my aviation background, checklists. Every pilot, anybody out here who's ever been a pilot or been with a pilot knows they follow a checklist.
Yep.
If we just do that in every single aspect of our business, it's easy, it's methodical, and that's all the calendar is. It's a daily checklist of what you're going to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really helps you go. And like you say, building it, Sean, the easy part, following it, committing to it, doing it every single day until it becomes a habit, man, that's the harder part.
Russ, I've heard this from you. I've heard it from a couple other coaches too. And the other thing that I hear when we're talking about following a schedule, building a calendar, is your day starts the night before, right? So we got to kind of review the calendar. We've got to look at it. But more importantly, what are the big rocks? Let's make sure the important kind of things we want to prioritize are on the calendar. And if we haven't scheduled those, when are we going to get to those things, right? Because what happens is a lot of the lower priorities take precedence on our day, steal our day, and we never get the more important things done. You believe that, and think that our day starts the night before?
Well, absolutely. And again, it's about this habitual process. So yes, the calendar is reviewed the night before. Yes, the morning of. So in my morning ritual, I have a 30-minute morning ritual, which is another checklist of what I do every morning. By the way, the first box I get a check up by 6:30. That's part
Okay.
of that morning ritual check. And guess what's on that morning ritual? Calendar. Coming back and look at it again. The calendar should be linear. It should be flow. There should be no overlap. And like you said, Sean, those big rocks. In real estate, the big rocks are the job description. Lead generate, lead follow up, go on appointments, negotiate contracts.
Yes, sir.
That's it. So your calendar should have those on there. And so many agents don't have any of that on there. And one of my kind of cheaters that I give my agents, so I'll give everybody who's watching this, in the afternoon, because that's normally when people, in the morning, you should be doing your lead gen, your lead follow-up, having conversations with absolute focus. And
Yep.
then in the afternoon should be your appointments. And so we block out ahead of time in my world a 2.5, 3 hour block of time, preferably 2 a day. So when someone calls and says, hey, I'm interested in meeting you to talk about a listing, you're not asking, well, when do you want to do it? What's good for you? That doesn't happen with your attorney, your accountant, your doctor, and yet agents don't treat it like a professional business. Now they will, because they can say, my calendar, I've got open Thursday at 2 or Friday at 4. They've
That's right.
already got these pre-blocked and pre-planned. Now, Sean, I'm going to give you a little quiz, because when we put these on the calendar, we label them. This 2 hour block from 2 to 4 on Thursday is labeled LA, BA, FU, LG. What do you think those stand for?
Well, I think I've got FU. It's follow up, right?
All right, that's nice. It's not the one most people think. Exactly.
I might be struggling on the other one, so educate us. Talk us through this.
LA, listing appointment.
Okay.
BA, buyer appointment. FU, follow up.
Yep.
LG, lead gen. They are in
Good.
the descending order of importance, because if all you did all day, every day, going back to the job description, magically everything else happened and all you had to do all day, every day was negotiate contracts,
Sure.
would you be a very rich real estate agent?
Yeah, 100%. Right.
And if all day, every day, everything magically happened and all you had to do was go on appointments all day, every day, meet and take listings or take buyers, you'd be a very wealthy agent. And yet we got to get that funnel going. We got to get it running. Another one of my coaching clients, Kim, man, we were talking, she worked diligently on that Saturday. She had some extra time and she was heads down in her conversations. 4 listing appointments tomorrow. It's going to be an amazing day.
Yeah.
So you make it LABAFULG is the label. And then when someone calls and wants a listing appointment, you change the label to 903 Main Street, whatever it is. Here's the fun part. You get to Thursday at 2:00 and you don't have a listing appointment and you don't have a buyer appointment. That means now that 2 hour block of time is follow-up and lead gen, getting you back into building your business, filling the top of the funnel. Agents aren't doing enough of that. They're not having enough of Cornerstone 3. We'll get there. And so the calendar done right can help facilitate that piece.
That's so good. I was at an event last week and we were talking to an ISA, a guy that does a lot of lead generation and prospecting for an agent, and he knows his numbers so well, right? And he trains and teaches his team that every call they make is worth like $35. Every call. And it's not every contact, it's not every conversation, it's literally every call. And we've got to kind of think through this a little bit and just kind of gamify, because lead gen's tough and it's hard to, number one, we're going to prioritize and put it on our calendar, Russ, but where's the motivation sometimes? And I just did a video that said motivation is a liar. We've got to be committed to our goals. And one of those goals is we just got to make contact with people. And the more conversations we have, we can gamify this to see how many conversations it takes to get a listing appointment, how many listing appointments to get the listing. And so everything you're talking about is important. And when we talk about big rocks, Russ, we're talking about lead generation. You've got to generate business yourself and for your business. And we can't put that off for the little rocks, the little distractions that just pull us away all day long from our
Well,
real
the
estate
little
business, right?
distractions are what you utilize to avoid what you know you should be doing. They're
That's right.
not pulling you away. You're going to do that because you don't want to do the main. One of my favorite stories I used to play, and you may not know this, Sean.
Hmm.
I was a high-level political consultant in California.
Okay.
I got Republicans elected in California, and I never lost a race in the state, including statewide races. So I
That sounds
had
like a challenging job in California,
it
by the way,
was. I
Russ.
had the
Yeah.
Attorney General of California as my
Hmm.
client.
Hmm.
And the number one job of a political candidate, what do you think their number one job is, Sean?
Raise money? I don't know.
Thank you. And how do they do that? Right?
they
They get
they
on the
take they
phone.
take pictures and hold babies, don't they? Like,
Yeah, no, they get on the phone, they make calls, they raise money. So I've got this guy scheduled from 2 to 5 in the afternoon for lead gen time.
hmm
Doesn't show up for like 2 hours. He had to get a haircut.
yeah,
All
yeah,
it was a distraction to get him away from what he should have been doing. And agents do the same damn thing with all this small stuff.
yeah.
Lead gen, lead follow up, go on appointments, negotiate contracts. Now, when you get to the bonus that we're going to get to,
Yep.
well, then you got some flexibility. So we'll get to that in a moment. And yet, Sean, you have bounced around and just been like pummeling me with the 4 cornerstones. So I'm just going to lay all 4 of them out now.
Let's do it.
So
Let's do it.
number 1 is the calendar, right? We've already talked
Following
about
a
that.
schedule. Number one. I'm taking notes here.
Number 2 is the database and all the things we do around the database in organizing and systematizing our interactions with the database.
And you have steps to the database, Russ? What does that look like for you?
Oh, I have a ton of fun pieces of the database that we'll get to. I still want to lay out all 4 because
Okay.
you hit on number 3. Number 3 is conversations.
Okay.
Becoming really good at conversations and doing a high volume of them because
Yep.
you are all paid in
Yep.
direct proportion to the number of people you talk to.
Okay.
And number 4, which most agents don't do, and you already mentioned about this ISA, is tracking your numbers, knowing
Okay.
your numbers, not just your financials, which you all should have a P&L, a balance sheet, a cash flow statement. You
Yeah.
should be running it like a business on a separate set of books, but also knowing the numbers of production, like you said, Sean, how many conversations do a set appointment to attended appointment to contract, all the way through the funnel to getting the money.
Okay.
Then there's a bonus of these 4. And yet, let's jump back to number 2 because you asked.
Yeah, database. What's that look like for us? Because we all have one. Some databases are really small, some are really big. But I think what we do with our database, it doesn't really matter on the size of the database. We got to kind of walk through the same process, right?
Everybody has a database of people that know them. They may
Yep.
not have compiled it yet. And that's what blows me away on all these people that are looking for cold calls, looking for more people to generate more leads for them off of the internet or other sources.
Sure.
Just random people. Oh, Zillow leads. They're writing big fat checks. You already have a pool of people. And here's the fun part. One of the exercises, so you guys can do it if you're watching this, is to go on your phone Here's happy iPhone. There's a little contact list. Hit
Okay.
that bad boy. It'll bring up a list of names.
Yep.
And if you get rid of the list of names, it'll even take you back to your lists. And I've got 2,031 people right here on my phone. Sean, how often do people move? Once every how many years?
The average moves, but I think it's 7-8 years.
So let's go really extreme, really, really conservative and go once every 10 years.
Sure.
Based on my number of 2,031,
Mm-hmm.
how many moves happened right here in the last 12 months?
Well, what we're going to do is take 10%, right? And what was your number, Russ? It was over 2,000.
2031.
2031. So if you subtract the one, that means there's 203 that are going to move this year.
That moved last year, and there's 203 that are going to move this year.
Correct.
And every one of you has this pool of people out there. And again, notice I labeled it, Sean, how many know you?
Mm-hmm.
When we think of who we know, we start gauging the quality of the knowledge. We start
Yep.
gauging the quality of the relationship, and we
Right.
create a story on, oh, I don't really know them. They don't really know it. You don't know what their story is. You could have had one interaction that changed their life that you don't even know about. And they
Yeah.
think you're the most amazing human being. So the key is to start compiling all this every single day into one platform.
Yep. Some
When
type of
I
CRM, some type of platform, right?
Yeah, well, and just know when I first started this,
Yep.
it's going to be a great side note. Brand new agent in a brand new city where I didn't know a soul. And I got Landvoice immediately because I had known about them previously. So this is 2013 in Austin, Texas. I start my business in April.
Inventory is really low, like it has been the last 10 years,
And I
2013.
call it expireds, which there
Yep.
weren't a ton, but I got that data, expireds and FSBOs.
Yep.
So I
Yep.
call. If I made a call, are they part of my database now, Sean?
It's up to you, Russ, right? Like, is your
should be.
database relationships, or is it, hey, I've made a call, I've contacted them, right?
I had to start because I didn't know anybody in
Of
Austin.
course. Yeah. Yeah.
So their name went on a 3x5 card
Okay.
with the date that I left a message, if that's what I did.
Yep.
And then my cards had index tabs dated 1 through 15 and 16 through 31, and another
Sure.
section that had January through December. So if today is the 24th, right?
Yep.
I left them a message today. They were an expired. I would put it in tomorrow's tab.
Mm-hmm.
My CRM were 2 card boxes of index cards that I just kept rolling.
Little Rolodex of cards, right?
Yeah. Now with technology, I mean, we've got KV Core, we have Follow Up Boss, we have 4 billion versions of high level out there.
Yep.
And you can do the same thing, add them in and begin what I call the dance with the database. So here are the 6 steps, Sean, that I do.
In your database. Let's go. Yeah.
This is what I do every day. So this
I love it.
afternoon, because one of my roles is recruiting talent to my world,
Yep.
I open up my CRM, which has a list of tasks that I have set. Now, you may not even have the task yet. You have a list of names.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if you've talked to them or not or anything else. Open the contact, step 1.
Okay.
Review the notes. You may not have any right now because you're just getting going on this. That's okay. Make the call is step 3.
Okay.
Log the notes is step 4. Set the next task is step 5, which means I'm setting a conversation 91 days or less, depending on where they are in my flow. If they've said, I'm ready to make a change, I'm ready to buy real estate on that side, it might be only a 1-week task or a 2-week. Yes, I'm living in Puerto Rico. I still have deals showing up in Texas. And I'm still serving people in Texas.
Yep.
They still show, I still take care of them. So I've got somebody putting their house on the market in June. So I've got a follow-up task for
Set
a
the next
call the
task.
middle
Yep.
of April,
Okay.
that'll show up on my task list.
Okay.
So and then step 6, close the contact.
Close the contact. Okay.
Open the next one, open the contact, review the notes, make the call, log the notes, set the task, close the notes.
Yeah.
Again, open, review, call, log, set the task, close. Just run that 6-step loop. It's simple, it's easy, it gamifies it.
Russ, we're going to go long because I got 2 things to talk about in the database. Russ is talking about, hey, you got to contact your database every 90 days. And I love that. Like, you have to do that for a lot of reasons. One is the loyalty gap that we talked about here at our organization, Russ, which is 84% of people you've done transactions with will not transact with you again because you're not staying in touch with them. Right. So there's literally a 16% of our customers that are going to come back and work with us again. And so we got to talk to people every 90 days because they're going to fall out of basically loyalty with us because of this, what we call this loyalty gap. That's number one. Number two, we've got to talk to our database every 90 days, actually, because it's now the law, Russ, with TCPA regulations and do not call regulations. If you haven't talked to people you know in 90 days, you're literally not authorized to call them in a cold contact anymore. So we have to literally, by law, now stay in touch with our database every 90 days. Now, Russ, you used to also coach this, and this is something I love. There are 13 weeks in a quarter. Every 90
Yeah.
days, right? 13 weeks in a quarter. There's 26 letters of our alphabet. So we can look at it that way too, right? We can take 2 letters of the alphabet and go by last name. And in our database, we should be talking to 2 letters of the alphabet by last name every week so that we get through our database every 90 days or every 13 weeks. So think about your database in a lot of ways, but think about the loyalty gap. Think about TCPA regulations, and think more importantly, like there's a process to this that's pretty easy to follow that we just have to schedule our calendar and nothing gets in the way. Our wife calls, our kids call, hey, sorry, I'm on a call, right? Like just narrow this thing down and do this one thing for an hour and a half, 2 hours every day that nothing, you protect it, like nothing else gets in the way. And then we crush our business in so many different ways, Russ.
Well, for the TCP, LMNOP government regulations, and what
Yeah.
I've been teaching and actually upgraded, Sean, is what I call the DMD4, doing my database for.
Okay.
And so, yes, the letters of the alphabet by last name have been sorted, bounced off of the national census.
Mm-hmm.
So it's balanced on your call.
Yep.
Here's, though, the fun part, Sean. DMD4, or calling these 2 letters a week for 13 weeks, if they actually do it, when is the next time they have to do DMD4 or calling the 2 letters a week?
In 13 weeks, right?
Never. Because think about this. If you actually do it and you follow the 6 steps, open the contact, review the notes, make the call, log the notes, set the task. Everybody in the database will have a task for content. And
To follow up.
the DMD4 is 2 calls. So we're calling 2 letters. So that is a call every quarter.
Yep.
We are texting 1 letter, kind of
Okay.
opposite that, which is 2 texts a year, and we're hitting their social media DM. We're going to slip into the DM, as the kids say these days. Also 1 letter a week. So now we have 8 touches a week or a year, amongst 3 platforms. And if you're following the model, all those are getting scheduled, and every time you do them, you're resetting. So literally one time through, actually, you are right, Sean, based on my DMD4, you'd have to do it for 6 months to get all the texts and DMs in the cycle too.
Okay.
But then automated, and you're adding them all to the task list just as you do them, and you're in this dance with your database.
These are processes we follow that help us to treat our business like a business and not be so entrepreneurial. We're bouncing from one corner to the other of our rooms or our offices or just in our business in general, right? It helps us to be much more mature as a business and as a business owner.
The thing that kills me, Sean, and you put it out here, 16, based on your guys' stats, 16% of your consumers come back and use you again.
Right. So
Because you
low.
treat them transactionally. You have commission breath, and that's all you show up for. You're not
Yeah.
telling them, you know what? I am taking you through the next 30, 60, 90 days of home buying, and I've got another 10 years to help you of home owning.
Yep.
Imagine you
Home
did that.
ownership, and then let's help them with wealth building, right? With
Amen.
investments and other things, right? So just because we help them buy a home doesn't mean the conversation stops. Yeah.
So here's the real kick in the groin. 88 NAR stats, 88% of consumers surveyed post-transaction said they would use the same agent again. They liked you, they had a great experience, and you don't value the relationship enough to stay in contact. So
That's
here's the kicker that Sean also put on the table. Lead generation is tough.
right.
You've been picking up the phone, calling people your whole freaking life. It's just between your ears that's tough that you have this story because you're making it about you. So moving into step 3 or cornerstone 3, the conversations, every
Conversations.
one of those has to be about them. Every one of those has to be, how can I serve you? What can I do to help you now? And it doesn't have to be transactional. Maybe it's ownership wise. Maybe it's something with family. Maybe you saw online a great tool that they were having some other challenge that you have a resource for.
Mm-hmm.
All reasons to reach out with conversations that are about them. You make it about them, it's phenomenal. Now, number 2, if it is about you, one of the things I've learned before and I've taught before, still kicking myself, is this whole Ford sandwich model of starting with, hey, let's build a relationship, then asking for something, and then ending with let's build a relationship. My personal recommendation now, if it's about business and that's what you're working on, you're lead generating for business right now, you open with that. This call is about business. I've got some big goals. Is it all right if we talk about that?
I love
Appreciate
that.
integrity, then still forward to close it out, especially recreation dreams. So you have some ideas. One of my favorites this time of year, I'm coaching my clients on. Man, spring is finally in the air. Summer's right around the corner. What plans do you have for the next 90 days? Somebody called me and asked me that. I'd be talking about my daughter's wedding in May, all the crazy things coming about that.
Yeah.
And 90 days later, when they call in June, end of June, early July, what's the first thing you should be asking me about?
How'd that wedding go, Russ?
Right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
by the way, since you followed the model and it's in your CRM, that conversation is logged. You'll remember that. And I will be impressed by your memory.
Yeah. And they'll feel like not only is this a smart guy, but he cares, right? He actually remembers the last conversation he had.
Well, you
Yep.
guys actually do care. You just are attempting to keep all this information in your melon. And I'm sorry, mine is not that strong. So I like logging it in the system.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so powerful. Those are little things that we talk about, but are we doing in our business, right?
Yeah. Well, those that aren't will wind up this year getting a new business, Sean.
Yeah.
Walmart is always looking for greeters.
They are.
That,
But that's not the time nor the season for us.
by
We
the
are,
way, think about that. And I've seen this. Real estate agents willing to talk to random people walking in the front door of a Walmart, but won't call their own database.
Yeah.
You guys
Yeah.
make me nuts.
Well, you've laid it out, Russ. You've laid out reasons why and also how we can have very organic, cordial, caring conversations with people around us, right?
Yeah. So let's hit, at least as we're sitting here chatting, on cornerstone number 4, knowing your numbers. Because every business has a ratio. whether you know it or not right now. And all business is numbers. In fact, Tony Robbins says numbers are the language of business. And every other business out there, be it a Walmart or a local gas station, they know the numbers of their flow of their products and all they do. And they know how to run that then based on the numbers. And agents don't know that. So here's the fun part. There is a funnel. I won't go through all the steps that every one of you go through, from lead gen and lead follow-up to setting appointments, attending appointments, to meeting with people, to getting into a contract for a buyer seller, getting a buyer and seller in contract with somebody else, to getting to escrow, to getting your money. And if you right now are $100,000 a year producer, in fact, I'll even say you're a $50,000 producer, and you just start tracking your numbers. And in tracking your numbers, we discover that for every 4 appointments, every 4 people you meet with, you get a signed contract. You get a signed listing agreement or a signed buyer agreement. Cool.
Okay.
And because you've tracked your numbers and we've discovered that ratio there, we then spend some time coaching and working on following scripts and dialogues, the ones that work, and cleaning up your language and helping you with objection handlers. And we just take that number from 4 to 1 to 4 to 2. We don't change any other thing about your volume of conversations or anything else you do. We just change that one ratio from 4 to 1 to 4 to 2 by helping you improve your conversations. What did we just do to their income?
Doubled it.
Like that. Doubled your income because you know where the weak spots are. And we absolutely, if you just track your numbers for 90 days, can do that. Now, number 2, as Sean pointed out earlier in the conversation, every single conversation has a value. If it takes you, and by the way, I used to run this and it's on my spreadsheet when I teach on stage. If it takes you 555 conversations, get a closing. That sounds huge. It sounds horrible. It sounds terrible. And I'm using just national averages. Some are higher, some are lower.
Mm-hmm.
The question I always ask in the room after I've gone through a bunch of horrible numbers and shown 555 to 1 closing, how many people would you talk to today? How many at Starbucks, at the grocery store, at the gas station, on the phone? If every person Venmoed you $10 when they were done with it, it didn't matter. They said, F you, I hate real estate agents, you suck, my ex-wife was one, never again. And then they still wired you $10. How many people would you talk to today if everybody gave you $10? Well,
I talk to 100 people every day, I think.
On that 555 to 1, each conversation is actually worth $18.18 on average. On a $10,000 average GCI, $18. And by the way, those ratios are horrible. When I would do this live in a class over 7 weeks, we would track our numbers. Most people averaged around $250 a conversation, and we had people in there multi-$1,000 a conversation. So let's just say you're $250 a conversation, and you'd like an extra $50,000 this year. How many more people do you need to talk to each week?
Each week?
Each week. In fact, let's say you're 25 instead of 250. You're $25 a conversation. You're way down there at the bottom, and you want an extra $50,000 this year. How many people each week?
Man, you're making me do some good math.
By the way, I'm making it a 50-week year, not a 52-week year, to give 2 weeks off and make my math easier.
And we want to make 50,000 more a year? What did you say the number was?
50,000 more a year. So that means 1,000 more a week.
So we need to have...
At $25 a conversation.
Is it 40?
It's 40. In a 5-day week, how many more a day is that?
8.
Right?
8 conversations a day is what you're saying.
Okay, in an 8-hour day, how many more conversations is that an hour?
1 an hour. Yeah. I love working from the top down. I love working the numbers back where it's like And that's at $25 a conversation. Most people can build and start making $250 a conversation, right?
Oh gosh, yeah. Gosh, yeah. And guys, that is all it proves is time on task over time changes your life. You're just not putting the time on task every single day.
Mm-hmm.
You do it every day, your energy, your enthusiasm takes this upward spiral because you start having success. You don't do it every day and you have this downward spiral because you know you should be and you feel bad about yourself.
Yeah.
So would you like the bonus, Sean?
Yeah. Let's hit the bonus.
The bonus is the magic pending number. This is the number every agent should focus on over everything else in their business.
Pending number? Is that what we're calling it?
The magic pending number.
Okay.
So this is the number you should have pending at any time, at all times, to hit your goal with mathematical certainty. So let's just say, because this is a number that a lot of agents lean into, I want to make $250,000 this year. A lot of newer agents, 250 is a big mark. And again, using national averages of $10,000 GCI, that would mean 25 units. You agree with that, Sean?
That's right. Yep.
To make 25 units a year happen, I already know the math, so I've done it in my head. That means a magic pending number of 3. You need to have 3 pending at all times. So here's what it looks like. You get heads down crazy in conversations all day, every day, until you get to 3 pending, maybe even 4, so you have a buffer. Once you get there, now you can start moving your time, your lead gen time, maybe to lead gen for talent, finding agents, maybe to lead gen for marketing, building more inbound traffic. Yet that number, by the way, 3 pending means 6 pipeline. Here's how I define a pipeline. Signed buyer, signed listing on the market, signed listing not yet on the market. So if you need 3 pending, you need to have 6 pipeline at any one time to make that happen, which is nothing. For me personally, just to go back to my beginnings in this, I was a brand new agent in a brand new city where I didn't know a soul. I had big dreams of doing some amazing things with Keller Williams, and the people that invited me to do that didn't ask, and I didn't ask. And when it came time to put me into the role, all of a sudden it was discovered that production was needed and I had none. I had never been an active agent. Brand new city, not knowing a soul, got on Landvoice and called expireds and FSBOs every day. And in 90 days, I had 25 listings and over 75 units my first year in real estate.
Come on, man. I love that.
Heads down on the grind. So the magic pending number, whatever your number is, if you want it, you can find me anywhere. That's why I put my last name here on the name on Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
Reach out. I'm happy to do the math for your business and help you discover what that is. I will tell you, my clients that focus on that, which is all of them, and we get them up to that magic pending number, which is all of them, all of a sudden they're not stressed out because they know the bills are paid. They know they have the revenue to take care of their family. Then we start building on wealth. And we can always talk about that wealth building, Sean, and another one, including talking about life in Puerto Rico as part of that wealth building, because it is pretty darn cool.
Russ, man, I love it. Now, listen, we violated our 30 minutes in our podcast, but
I told you I wanted the Joe Rogan experience. We still have 2.5 hours.
We can go 2.5 more hours with this then, right? You guys, what I love about Russ is he always brings the energy and the passion, but more importantly, these 4 cornerstones with a bonus. I hope all of you found value from this. Let's find opportunities to nurture our database. And just to review, Russ, those 4 cornerstones, we're talking about following a schedule, working our database, having more conversations, tracking our numbers and then that magic pending number. We all need to be at 3 pendings in our business so we can kind of take our business to the next level. I love this stuff. Gets me super passionate. It gets me passionate when I hear how many deals you do with expireds and FSBOs. Obviously, that's what we do at Landvoice, and why we're really passionate about kind of growing the industry and the real estate business. And so for all those out there, look up Renegade Coaching. Follow Russ Colliau on social media. Reach out to him. He's one of the most personable guys you're ever going to talk to. And Russ, really appreciate your time today. Any final thoughts before we close it all up?
I actually, as we were thinking that, we talked about one bonus for everybody that's on here, and I've actually got two.
Yeah.
So every single morning for the last 4 years, Monday through Friday, I run a mindset mastermind, 9 to 9:30 every single day.
Yeah.
And so the platform I use, and maybe you can edit and put it up here at some point, meetin.com, MEETN.com, 5 letters.com/renegades, plural. Meetin.com/renegades, 9 to 9:30 Central, so adjust for your time zone. And by the way, we use written content now in that room to facilitate the conversations. So we are deep in Jeffrey Gitomer's Little Red Book of Selling right now. We have read 29 personal development and business development books since September of 2023, cover to cover. By the way, those that don't read, there is little difference between those that don't read and those that can't read. Number two, if you guys would like the $1 million business plan, how to get to $1 million with this series of daily activities. You check these boxes. It is $1 million real estate business. My website, www.russcolliau.com, just like it's spelled here under my name, russcolliau.com/daily plan. Now, it's not up yet. Maybe by the time this is posted, I'll have it done because Sean and I talked about it. I will give you guys that daily plan. You get there, you register, and we will absolutely get that in your hands for you to follow. You may have some questions afterward, which will be a lot of fun for us to talk to. And as Sean said, man, I'm always open to talk. In fact, at my website, russcolliau.com, y'all have access to my calendar and can schedule. So feel free. And Sean, when are we doing this again, man?
Russ, we're doing it real soon. You always bring the value, always come from contribution. Really appreciate you and everything that you do. Guys, take a look at it. It's russcolliau.com/daily plan, meetin, MEETN.com/renegade. Check him out, give him a follow, and join that. That's a really cool book club that we can all grow and learn from each other. So love this stuff, Russ. We'll have you on again real soon. Appreciate you, man.
All right, man. Love you, brother. Blessed to be in business with you and Landvoice. You guys done amazing things for me.
Thank you.